What's up, guys? Got another knife review today. This time we got a Toor Knives Jank Shank, and this thing is wicked. I mean, the shape of this thing and just the way it looks. I mean, this thing's pretty. This thing's business. Ignore the electrical tape. My buddy has a little engraving on the back of that, so just keeping that covered for now. But yeah, got a buddy's knife here. Gracious enough to lend it to me. This thing's wicked, honestly. MSRP's $250 for these. With that, if you wanted to get an engraving like my buddy did, it's extra $25. So $275 out the door for all that said and done. But God, I mean, the way this thing locks into your hand and just the ergos on it with this ring and whatnot. I mean, this is a business knife. My buddy is keeping this on a plate carrier setup, kind of as like a last chance, last resort fighting knife. And as the name suggests, the Jank Shank, I mean, you're getting busy with this thing for sure. I really like the aesthetic of this knife. It's kind of that same kind of, I guess, blasted stonewash finish that some of the other knives on the channel have had that we've looked at. Obviously, you can tell this is a one-piece construction, so that's awesome. Handle material, G10. Nothing wrong with G10. Feels good in the hand. It got some nice kind of ridges on and grooves on there to give you a little bit of texture to grip onto. We got some jimping here on the back side, right on the top of the knife, and then as well on the other end, if you're going to hold in that reverse grip, you kind of have a spot to keep your thumb when you're grabbing onto the thing. It kind of would have been cool maybe to even continue the jimping a little bit onto the ring here, just with my own hand. That's kind of where my thumb's going to sit. My thumb's not really going to sit here as much, but coming around on this side, I guess these fingers kind of grab that on the back side, so maybe that's what they were looking for with that. But yeah, if you look at the top edge of the blade, there's kind of a little dip. If you wanted to choke up and put your thumb in there for more of like a, I mean, I don't know how much like precision cutting you're doing with this shank, but it's just another option for a place to put your thumb. Probably would keep it on the lower end. But yeah, just the way this thing locks in your hand, I think it's just with the philosophy of use of what this thing's going to be used for, I think it makes perfect sense. You can either put the pinky finger in there to get that just standard grip like this, or if you're trying to do your gas station fighting knife grip on the backside here, you can put that pointer finger in the knife, and this thing's not going anywhere. I mean, that's what's nice when it comes to something that's going to be sitting on a plate carrier, or maybe you have it on a duty belt, or maybe you're just EDC carrying this thing and you just have it in your waistline. This is going to be stuck in your hand, and this thing's not going anywhere. I wouldn't say this is very much of a EDC style blade. This is definitely a tactical blade is going to be used for one thing. And as far as the blade shape goes, I guess that'd be kind of like a Wharncliffe style shape. Got a nice little sharpening choil there on the bottom in case you guys want to put an edge on this thing. I know in the other video with the Toor, I kind of talked about I wasn't super impressed with the edge. On the contrary, this thing is very sharp, and I don't think my buddy's ever sharpened it, so we'll just say he hasn't, and it has a nice edge. I mean, this thing's pretty legit. You can definitely be sharper still, but for a shank, I'm happy with the edge so far. One thing, a note I want to point out about this knife, the tip of this thing is just wicked. I mean, if you look at how fine of a point that comes down to, I mean, this thing's going to be slicey like you can't believe, and that's important when you're talking about a shank. So we'll get a quick measurement on this thing real quick. Let's see. I think overall length on their website's right around 7 inches. That looks about right. And then blade length of 3 inches. Get a little comparison. It's a little bit of apple to oranges just with a folding knife, but just so you guys kind of have some reference points. Kershaw blur down there. Got the PM2 on top. It's a small knife, and I think that's kind of what you want with kind of a last resort option like this. You want it out of the way. You want something that's lightweight. This thing comes in at 3.6 ounces without the sheath, which is light. I mean, you barely feel this thing in your hand. It's very light, but It does feel super rigid. It's nice and thick, especially where it matters. So I think that's nice. We'll kind of touch on the sheath. The sheath's the same as what the other one was with the previous video, but we'll go over it one more time. Let's see, I got it written down here. Saddle leather, I think is what it was. Herman oak saddle leather. And then they kind of do like an acrylic, I don't know what the word would, paint or treatment to the outside of it, just to help with kind of some of the weather resistance. And we kind of have our standard screw holes like you'd see on like a gun holster or something. Here's that ulti clip. This thing's super nice, pops open. You can, you know, put it on your plate carrier, put it in your belt, put it in your shorts, clip this down, and it's not going to go anywhere. I definitely mess with this quite a bit, just trying to see how it would do. Let me just poke myself. How it would do in just like some shorts and whatnot, and it held in super good. Wasn't going anywhere. It was popping right out. One thing I do like that this company does with their sheath is it has a little bit of like a felt liner on the inside of the knife, so or the sheath, just so the blade's not getting too beat up or anything coming in and out. So that's thoughtful, and I appreciate that. I know I talked about it previously in the other video. With as far as the company goes, Toor Knives, it's a USA made company, and they're actually based out of San Diego, or they're being assembled in San Diego. So that's cool, veteran owned. So you know that you can appreciate that, and the company is definitely putting some thought into what the knives are being used for. I read a lot of the reviews on their website of this particular knife and what people thought about it. A lot of guys are running this on plate carriers. A lot of guys were running it on belts and things like that. So it's good to hear that people are getting use out of this knife, and I think this thing's a win. I actually might buy one of these after this, which, you know, the other one was a cool knife, but this one really looks like it would fit nicely with what I want to do with it. So just a nice little emblem there on the back side, USA made. It's probably like a part number for how many of them they've made so far, but this thing's awesome. I think it's a win. If you guys are looking for something to throw on your plate carrier, you want something that's going to be pretty discreet and pretty slicey like this thing, I think this is a great option. So go ahead and check it out, toorknives.com, and like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate the support. I will talk to you guys soon.